Howdy. This is Richard Keene once again, just making another post. And again, hopefully these posts are found to be useful to you. It's taken me years to learn this information. So I'm hoping as I share it with you, maybe it'll give you a shortcut, it'll give you some useful information. So we all share and support and help each other. I believe in that. So once again, my name is Richard Keene. I'm a professional life coach and speaker. And subscribe to my channel if this is useful. Share it with other people. And listen all the way to the end to get key information here. So today I'm just posting on, relationships between just men and women and how we communicate differently, and how that's, if you don't become a student of understanding that, then your relationships become way more complicated when they don't need to become complicated. So years ago, I think I was age 41 at the time, and I was in a relationship and it was not going quite right. And I finally got the inkling or the thought, like, hey, I don't think I understand women. And I thought about that for a minute, and it's like, no, I don't. I'm sure I don't. And as an engineer, I started thinking. Then finally, it's like, well, that can't be helping here. And then I came up with a thought that, well, maybe at least I'll try to learn. And it felt at the time like that just sounded impossible. Just like, I can't do this, or that's I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I made a decision to at least that I was going to try. And I'm going to say a couple weeks later, I was walking through a bookstore, and on the end cap was, I'm going to say 30 of this new book by Barbara DeAngelis called What Women Want Men to Know. And there was like 30 of those. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can't recognize that as a sign, I had made a decision I wanted to try to learn, and there's 30 of those books staring me in the face. It's like, okay, well, if I can't see that sign, I'm pretty blind, deaf, and dumb. So I did buy one of those. I was doing a lot of airplane travel at the time, and I started reading that in airports and on the plane. I was burned out from work, and it's like, hey, I'm going to read this book. And a lot of parts initially just didn't make any sense. I mean, at times I was even thinking, okay, well, this can't be right. And then I realized it's like, here I am arguing with a book about whether it's right or wrong, and the book's written by a woman trying to explain women to men, and I realized I'm arguing with this. And I finally accepted, well, maybe what's in the book is correct. It was just so very different or foreign from how my thinking, and accepting that it was correct and going with it, that it's correct, and really becoming a student of this and reading it over and over. And I mean, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 times I reread that book. So I had a lot of airplane travel time. And after a period of 6 months, and finally all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it. I got it. Okay, this is simple. Okay. And so then understanding what I call the emotional needs for women, and how women crave or want to be, validated and made a priority in your life. We all kind of know that, but men and women are very different in this. Okay. Not good, bad, or indifferent. We're different. Okay. Some women, when you're initially dating, and there's the pursuit and the interest, women, that feels good to women, and they enjoy that. That feels nice to be made a priority, to be pursued, to be desired. And so in the courting phase, when that's occurring, they love that. That feels really, really good to them. And that's a need that's in there. And that need never, ever, 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 ever goes away. Ever. But when men and women hit a point where they decide, hey, this seems like it's working, and they make an agreement, like, okay, let's make this more permanent. You may get married, okay? So in a man's mind, it's like, okay, well, we agree we like each other, so we have that agreement done. And men work off like priorities or lists. So once they have that relationship established, they now move to a different item on their list. It may be making a great life for both of you by making a great income. So now they change their focus, maybe toward business or their career. And subconsciously, they believe that, well, women get this and that they understand that. Women, I think they do, but their need to be cherished, desired, pursued, valued, it doesn't go away, okay? But for men, we don't have that same level of need in that area. It's much, much lower. And again, these are just my opinions, but I think for most people it's relevant, okay? So the big disconnect that occurs is that men and women have different needs, different emotional needs. And when we don't correctly understand this, all hell breaks loose at some point in time. So, if a man starts pursuing his career and he thinks he's being a good partner by pursuing his career to help support creating a abundant life, financially abundant life together. So he thinks he's being a good partner, but he stops doing those other things because he's a man and he doesn't have those same needs. So he doesn't see those needs, so he stops doing them. Which for a woman feels, at first she may accept that and she understands he's focusing on work, but after a while she starts dying without that attention, and that's something she emotionally needs. You're not going to rewire that. She needs that. Period. Okay. So it's kind of like, with owner's manual with the car, you understand you're supposed to go get the oil change. You know that. And if you drive the car for 180,000 miles and you never change the oil, and then the engine blows up, and your friends ask you, hey, dude, did you change the oil? And you're like, nah, I don't believe in that. And he'd look at you like, well, you're kind of an idiot. And of course your car blew up. So why didn't you change your oil? Okay. So when we don't correctly understand the emotional needs of a woman, and we haven't spent any time to understand it, and then we get negative, bad results because we didn't read the operating manual, and then we blame the car, we blame the woman for her emotional needs, yet we never became an expert in understanding the emotional needs of a woman. So I give the example of, we all have priorities in life, and your intimate relationship, if I asked you to rank it, would be somewhere in the top 1 to 5 priorities. Okay, and let's say one of them is also your career. And let's say if you're a doctor, I say, how much time did you put into your career? And they're like, well, I put 10 years in my training and 4 years establishing the business. So I invested all this huge time in my career. Then I ask you, how much time did you put into understanding the emotional needs of a woman? And you say, well, 4 minutes. you're, you're getting the results that are the equivalent of putting 4 minutes into understanding the emotional needs of a woman. And now you're bitching, or complaining about her. Does that make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. You're getting really, really bad results because you've spent 0 time in actually understanding the emotional needs of a woman, and now you're getting the results that are correspond to your time and effort, which is bad results. You make them the problem, or you complain about them, and yet you never, ever, ever, ever tried to learn, which, like I said, I was age 41 and I made a decision I'm going to look to learn, and I thought it would be impossible. But with repeated reading of that book, then I finally got it. It's like, oh, this is very simple. This is not complicated at all. And again, just final comments there is what's complicated is not, or what's difficult is not learning this. Now you make your relationship difficult. You make it complicated. You make it complicated because you haven't invested any time in understanding the emotional needs of a woman. And now you're getting those results, and now you're bitching about it, which that makes no sense. So again, hopefully this material is useful. I've done training courses on this with men. It's something I may do again. Send me a message at R.I. Kean, Kean 100, the number 100 at gmail.com if you want to talk about this. And that's it. And hit a like or share this with people. And I hope this is useful. Thank you. You guys have a good day.